Welcome to Life, Biz and All That Jazz, the podcast where real talk meets transformation. If you're navigating your mental health, healing from trauma, wanting to shift pain to purpose and have a life that you truly love, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Jasmine and each week we share the raw, the messy, the unfiltered. If you're new here, welcome. Welcome to the family. I am so excited that you're here. And if you've come back for more, thank you. Thank you for trusting in my vision and coming back for more. Most of you listening aren't actually subscribed, so I'd really love if you just hit that subscribe button. It really helps share the podcast organically, and I appreciate it so much. Jen Sulak, welcome to Life, Biz and All That Jazz.
Wow, I'm glad to be here.
Pleasure is all mine. As we were having a bit of a chat earlier, is like, love your hair vibes, and I'm trying to match as much as I can with the colorful vibes. Well, obviously my background's colorful, but no, I love it. It's just, showing your personality, and I put my little butterfly clips in, so that's fun. What I'd like to start off the episode with is, I know we're going to talk about really embracing who we are today. So I know that that's something that you're really about.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to unpack that. I want you to go back to kind of start before you had your transformation, if we want to call it, or before you had that shift where you got to step into that version of you today.
Yeah, I think a lot of it goes way back, like how I grew up, right? Some of us grow up differently than each other. And I've been thinking about this week, is when I was a kid in school, I was super shy, hands down, super shy. I never would have thought I'd, be here now. And what started transforming for me was my love of starting to serve people, no matter what it was. I would be involved in some volunteer work from time to time. I did an office job for a really long time, but I also know that office job, I kept daydreaming about doing something creative with my life, And then fast forward to meeting my husband in 2005, and all of a sudden I was kind of thrust into this photography world. And what the photography world did for me was start opening up my creativity and my confidence and connecting with other people. So I went from this completely shy and, very timid kind of a person to a much more bold person, where I was not afraid to put out my ideas. I was exploring photography and art in general. And I feel like art always gave me permission to be exactly who I was. So there were several cycles of that kind of brought me forward into what I would call more of my creative identity and what I'm doing here. And only in the last 5 years have I really let it all out. And so obviously in 2020, we were all kind of locked into this space where we had time and space to think and breathe and maybe even have ideas come to us. And so 5 years ago was the biggest shift I've ever had in my life, to be the most me. And I started a side niche of my photography business called Weirdo Weddings Photography. And it's literally been the best thing I've ever done. And it's opened me up even more. I know when you get involved with things, you tend to infuse yourself into all of it. And that's what I love about how every time I took a step towards something else, whether it was in deep pain or deep joy, that it brought me to more of myself. And so these last 5 years have actually been the funnest. And then this year is absolutely just a blast, navigating what it's like to really be me and the things that I enjoy. And what I've realized is conversation and connection is huge for me. And so now that I've realized that, I just lean into it as much as possible. I show up places I would, different places that I wouldn't normally go. I just kind of push myself into new places to have conversations. And even today, I'm sitting here, you're across the world from me, and I get to sit and have a conversation with you, and it's fun.
Thank you for sharing that. It's such a beautiful journey. Something similar to realization that I had 5 years ago is my career was hotel management, and I went to uni and studied that, but I always loved marketing and creativity, and that's my ADHD hat. So that's obviously that was hidden then. I didn't really know.
Yeah.
I was masking a lot of things, just had the job, went to uni, had the job, paid good, got my 4 weeks a year, but then COVID hit. And I saw, we had, like you said, had the time to think. I saw a
And
side to the company that I didn't align with. And I thought, what am I doing? I always wanted to do marketing or something. So I started to study. And then I was studying a little bit before COVID, but that really made me think, okay, I need to change something. And I had the time to like kind of start a little side gig and was working with clients that had never been online because they had shops or they didn't really know much about social media. But
yeah,
now that COVID was here, everything changed. So I was able to kind of like spark a little bit of my creativity and open it up. And then fast forward to now, I work for myself. This is my passion project. The podcast is my passion project, which is amazing because I wanted to start that 5 years ago, but I didn't. It took me a few years to really dive into a lot of things. And I think the greatest thing with life and like with every day is that we do have the possibility to change our minds.
yeah,
We do have the possibility in every single day. And then I love what you said as well about like the last year has been the greatest for you
yeah.
because it's exciting when you really get to open up and be who you want to be. Did you feel like when you were shy, obviously when you were little, because
Yeah.
we yeah, when we are like we grow up in a certain way,
Yeah.
and I went through a lot of trauma as a child as well. My dad had bipolar, so there was a lot of ups and downs in the family, and everyone's always doing their best, but you do become someone that you're not when you do experience things. And
Mhm.
like you obviously were shy, but then that was like a coping mechanism, did you find?
I found that, yeah, after a while, because we moved so much, that
Yep.
it was like, well, first of all, I didn't want anybody to see me because, like, there wasn't any longevity to these friendships that I had, even when I made in school, right? So I
Mm.
felt like everything was so temporary. And so by the time I would get to know somebody, I would have to leave again. So, and I felt like
Oh yeah.
that kind of carried into my adult life because I was so nomadic for a really long time. And when you're nomadic, you don't feel like anything or anyone is stable around you. And I think staying put in this area, I'm in Dallas, Fort Worth in Texas in the USA, and being here for about 25 years now, I have realized the difference of having the nomadic lifestyle versus being, stuck here for a while and just in one place. And so I have been really questioning myself, what is real friendship? What is real community? And it has been so interesting to dissect that from shy Jen as a child, as a teen, and then the adult Jen who's literally just trying to find her place in the world. Like, where do I belong? I don't even know at this point, right? And it's like now I'm to this point, and fast forward here to this year, I realize I'm a part of so many communities, and maybe you deal with this too. You realize you're around a lot of people, and you've maybe known people for a really long time wherever you've lived, or certain clubs you've been a part of, or things you're interested in. There was just I just never saw it until like I got to slow down and ask questions about like, why am I here? What am I doing? And what does this mean? And I found out that I had community all along. I had just not seen it in the way I thought it was presented to me. So, like, photography community, the wedding pro community, the Renaissance Festival community, the Blue Man Group community for those that like theater and music. And we all have these communities that we connect with based upon our mutual likes and loves, right? And so, yeah, I feel like over time I realized that I had, I still felt nomadic a little bit with these communities, but at the same time, I still have these great ties to all these people I've met over even just the last 25 years here in Dallas. So, yeah, it's interesting to think about.
I love that you really emphasize that community, and something that's we'll touch on with the nomad life. I'm kind of like embarking that lifestyle
Yeah,
now. Yeah. So I I've obviously, worked for myself. I can work from anywhere, my
exactly.
clients. And I'm kind of at this stage where I'm like, want to travel more. I'm buying a van. I'm going to do some travel in Australia. So I'm in the middle of planning what van to buy, doing the build and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. But then now like next week I'm going to Bali for a month, and I'm just going to be there and work, and it's something that I never thought possible because I was really sheltered in to think that we have to have a job, career, we can't step outside the box, we can't take the risks, we can't open up possibilities or kind of just have a dream, because when you go through a certain stage, and I guess as well as like this is like a new generation of people really embracing themselves and embracing their creativity and just embracing who they are and being proud of that.
Yeah, and you brought up another good point, having a mobile office. The internet and the expansion of the world alone in these last 20 something years, right, has really opened up the possibilities. And so when people leap out and do that kind of stuff, we get inspired by seeing them live out their dreams and passions. And that ignites us as well to give us ideas to think about, like, would I really want to do that? Do I want to do that? I have a friend who's bouncing back and forth between, a couple of states here, and she's just following a new passion or potentially letting one go. You never know. And then for me, in the photography realm, I embraced everything in the beginning, and then I started focusing in on the things that I actually enjoyed. And it's the same as, any path that we all take is like, what do we really want to do with whatever gifts and talents we have, or whatever passion is sitting on the shelf behind us? We're like, well, I'll get to that one day. And then the one day arrives and you're like, why not go do that thing? Whatever it
Mm.
is. And like, I love that you're passionate about your podcast, because I had the same thing happen to me where I was like, I feel like I need something more. Right? Like something to add to my plate, just to give me that little bit of extra. And so I started one too. I was like, there was something about just not apologizing for it and just doing it. Whatever your little niche might be, that's kind of where I'm living right now, is that it doesn't matter if everybody's doing one. It matters that you do what's inside of you. And I think this is just another step, right? We have great conversations. We all learn from each other. I get to meet people I never would have met. I just love how the internet and the world has opened up to us, because we can chat across the world on a different time zone, on video, not just phone. You know what I mean? It's so
Yeah,
great.
it's definitely changed a lot of things. And when I found out that you can do this and like have the video, and also just the support with the editing. I do a lot of video editing as it is for my business anyway,
Yeah.
like separate,
Yeah.
and that design side of things. But having an option like this whole suite, you can send the link and connect and the time zones, and then it also works out the time zones for you. It's just the
Oh,
possibilities are
so much
endless.
easier. Yeah, trying to do the math, but from Australia to Oh,
Yeah, you
yes,
don't need to
the
worry.
math.
It tells you the time, what time, yeah, it tells you when and everything. So no, it's great. But I would love to chat more about your podcast. So
Yeah.
what's it called?
Oh, I had this great idea. I'm gonna tell you the backstory when I tell you the name of it too, because it's such an interesting way of how ideas can come to you at any moment, right? So
Yes.
I'm at a wedding expo. We'll call it that, a wedding expo. And it was for couples to come look at this open house, and a whole bunch of us vendors were there, and vendors meaning wedding pros,
Yeah.
photographers and all the people, planners and stuff. So I was talking with a couple of people, and this lady had just had a kid. She was like 8 or 9 months old kid, baby, like a baby. And it took me back to when I started our family here, and those first couple of years of being a wedding pro and trying to run a business and have a kid and all the things, right? And so I thought to myself, and then also in that conversation, we were talking about tattoos for some reason. And I was like, well, she's got this tattoo. She was telling me the story behind that. And I was telling her the story behind mine. And all of a sudden, I just thought to myself, we should just talk about tattoos and toddlers, because it's a real thing. And so I called it the Tattoos and Toddlers podcast, because
Oh,
it's a
so good.
discussion on business, parenting, caregiving, I'm not exclusive to just somebody with tattoos and somebody with just toddlers. Like, I let anybody come onto my podcast that wants to have a conversation about the dualities that we all face as people who are multi-passionate. And we have multiple responsibilities. And even if you don't have kids, you have other responsibilities that you've sectioned your life off into, including all my pet parents. I'm a pet parent. I've got a human child. I've got a husband. I've got a business, which, well, quite frankly, I know that you probably feel this too. It's a piece of our soul. It's our baby as well. It's a piece
Yes.
of who we are. And so, just having conversations I've found with other business owners and then other parental, aspects has been so helpful for me because I talk to people from all different walks of life. And, some people have their kids grown, some people still have teenagers, and some people have young ones. But I originally started it because I was inspired by my friend who had just had a baby, and I just really remembered how tough it was. And I was like, that's a great conversation starter. Let's just go do that.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so I've been doing that for a couple years now, I think. I don't even like, how you forget when you start stuff? I think it's been going for a couple of years now.
I love that. It's just a different method, and it's such a fun thing to do. I love it, and meeting people from all over the world, and predominantly a lot of my conversations and guests we talk about a lot. It's called life, biz, and all that jazz.
Yeah.
So we've got the life part, which we're talking about life, everyday life,
Yep.
but then biz is like what we're having now. Especially, I love what you the last 5 years stepped into that and what you really wanted to be, because life's hard and we go through so many things. And I think having what we do for work is a big part of our lives, and we need to enjoy it, and it needs to support the life that we want to live. So I'm all for like inspiring, starting your own business, being creative and really like putting yourself out there. I just love having these type of conversations. And I love what you said about multi-passionate,
Yes.
because I used to think that was not like a fault, but I
Mhm.
thought like I couldn't be multi-passionate. I couldn't have 5 different hobbies. I couldn't decide I want to change or do all this stuff. But
Yeah.
that's how my brain works. My brain has the ability to be able to think about all these different things and like constantly have a lot of things going on. And yeah, I'm busy. I've got a lot of things always going on, but then I
Yeah.
still have the rest time. And it was like removing that guilt and that shame that I had, which wasn't even the way that I felt about being multi-passionate. It was just what I was taught and the conditioning from the beginning. And then to be able to remove that and be like, no, I can identify as multi-passionate and,
Yeah.
multifaceted and multiple interests and have multiple projects going on at the same time.
Yeah, and I love that you say that because I too have embraced this about myself, and I also know that how much I can genuinely handle. Like, I know I have
Mm,
learned some of my limits, and limits are fine. Limits should make you, like, actually happy, because you're not meant to do everything to everyone all the time. So, I love that when you're multi-passionate, you can explore everything either simultaneously or in seasons. For me, my jobs are very seasonal. So I know when I have downtime with one project, or in this case, weddings, I have a very set amount of months that I can work. And then I have a
mhm.
set amount of months it's just too hot. People don't get married in the summer here. And then,
Yes.
then it starts again when it starts to cool back off. So I know that in between all that, I'm probably going to work on something crafty, or I'm going to work on, I go to a couple of conventions and I sell things, right? And so in order to sell things, I want to make things. And so I would make things only specific to these conventions, nowhere else. I don't sell online. I don't do all that stuff. And then I have the speaking. I'm doing speaking. I'm doing projects like this where I get on people's podcasts. These are the things that fill my calendar with joy. And I think now it has been such a wonderful thing to embrace that. Like I told you, especially this year, because I really truly have embraced, I would call it almost 3 pieces of myself right now, being a wedding photographer specifically, and then a conceptual artist, which could mean anything. It's a limitless possibility of what art form I might take on for the week or the month, right? And then I have the speaking aspect where I use my voice in various different ways, and be it in text or be it in verbalizing things or having conversation or just talking about who I am, because I realize so many of us, we don't know how to use our voice, so we don't really know how to share ourselves with people. So, yeah, I used to just hide and say nothing because I thought that nobody cared. So why would, why would I say anything? Or nobody cared about my opinion, my thoughts, my ideas, all of that. I had silenced myself for a good long time. And so now over the last 5 years, I have been very vocal. And I think that's what it's really brought me to more of me is everything that I've been dreaming about or thinking about, I'm letting it come to the surface and come out to play. There's something about letting those ideas come out to play. Even if you do it for a season, you're not a failure in it. I I used to think I was a failure for all this stuff. And you said ADHD earlier. A lot of people, I used to think that about myself, like never diagnosed or anything, but I was like, why do I keep going from project to project to project to project? And I
Mm.
realized they're just all a form of creativity. There's nothing wrong with that. And it didn't matter if I was painting one day, drawing the next, doing photography the next, or trying to do a presentation the next. Like all of it is in the creative flow of who I am. And now that I've embraced all that, I'm looking to help and just show other people that they can also do it, but they don't need to copy somebody else, but they need to bring it out of themselves. You know what I mean? Like, your 5 things are not my 5 things. Their 3 things are not my 3 things. Like, there are several ways that you can approach finding your own self through this process. It's awesome. I highly recommend it.
I love everything you just shared. So many key takeaways, and I got my note. I write notes because I
Yeah.
want to focus and engage. And then there's so many things that come up, and I'm thinking. So
Yeah.
one thing I want to start with is like what you kind of just said. Like we can change.
Yeah.
We can start a project and we can change our mind and not finish it. The
Absolutely.
only expectation we have of thinking that it's failure is that we're comparing ourselves. Usually it's like we've got this standard, like who cares? Who cares if you start
Yeah.
something and finish and don't finish it? Like you tried.
And
And
even if it wasn't, what you consider a success or a failure, or if you don't label it at all, it's
yeah.
part of the process and it's part of your path. And I talk to people a lot about your path is your path, your pace is your pace. So me
Mm,
doing a video series may have led me to do a podcast because at the season of this time in our lives, everybody was doing short form videos on YouTube, right? YouTube exploded with people doing stuff. Now people get monetized on YouTube doing this stuff. And for me, I was like, I liked doing the documentary style videos because then I gave somebody a voice in that moment in video format. And then once everything expanded into like, oh, and all these platforms, Riverside, Zoom, all these things, then we can have conversations with audio and video at the same exact time. You know?
yeah.
But it all worked together. Like, I no longer see them as this is the forgotten piece of Jen. You know what I've been doing recently? I've got a really big YouTube channel that nobody cares about. But you know what? I started looking at these old videos. I was like, those are fun. I should really share those with people. I've never shared them with people. And they're silly and they're ideas that I've done and I've lived. But what if that inspires somebody else to go do something? Just share your
Oh, I
stuff,
love that. Oh,
right?
I'll link your channel to the show notes for
Yeah, I got tons of
our
stuff on
listeners.
there from my photography ideas. I mean, so many things.
Oh, that's so cool. It's funny what you mentioned about like the changing projects and like
Yeah.
as well, kind of like going back a little bit, but with with the dopamine, for
Mhm.
me, it's like I get excited with the process of designing and starting
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's really like a big emphasis. But now like as I, really start to understand more about my brain and I'm learning something new every
Mhm.
day,
Mhm.
it's that you need to just get past that middle part of like, yeah, it's exciting to start. And then, we might really enjoy it, but it can be a point of where we just, oh, I want to start something new. So there's obviously like trying different things, But
Yeah.
then sometimes we do need to, if we're really excited about doing something and it gets bored, sometimes we kind of just need to push through.
Yep.
If it in a way is like just keep trying. I'd love to have a bit more of a chat about your speaking. So what
Yeah.
topics do you do? Yeah, I did see that on your website.
Yeah,
So I was having
you know what's funny is that, and like I told you, I used to hide all the time and just not really talk about anything or thoughts and perspectives and insights. And so my speaking has turned into this treasure trove of life experience that I never let the world see. And what I've always told people and I've told myself is literally the only success that I want in this world is to be the best me. And in doing so, I've realized that I've had so many access. I told you already, all these communities. So I end up talking a lot about, creative ways to approach problems, or I talk about marketing and branding because I am a living, walking marketing and branding kind of person. I mean, obviously, with the pink hair, it wasn't just about the pink hair in the beginning. I still, it took me a few years before I became, my first business was like Pink Light Images. And so I was like, well, I should just like lean into this pink hair thing. And so now I talk about ways to dream. I talk about becoming limitless. I talk about, again, marketing and branding. I talk about so many things I have yet to even talk about yet. Like I have a list of things that aren't even on my website that I've been pitching out into the world because I like curating things specifically for groups of people that if they
mm,
need to hear something, then I can speak on something that I have lived. Like there's a lot of life that I have lived and I've walked through a lot of things just in business and in life. And they all tie together. So why wouldn't I, use some of this in my talks? And just to give you an idea, so this year and last year I spoke about networking but not just networking, like the awkward kind, which is totally me. And so I pulled from my personal life experience about how awkward I can be, and I still am, by the way. Like I still am very, you wouldn't look at me and say, "Oh yeah, she's got it all together." No, no, I really don't. Matter of fact, we were just doing when people try to get you to do an elevator pitch and you're like, "You tell what you do in 30 seconds." And I was like, first of all, I don't have a script. And second of all, I need 20 of them." But
Oh,
you know
I
what I
love
mean?
that. I resonate with that a lot.
Right? So there's no, you can't. And I know it's a part of who I am, like, just don't put me in a box, don't try to box me in, you can't draw a line around me and define me. I mean, that's literally,
Yes.
I've always been that way in a way, and I think I've embraced it even more now, so I really have to watch myself is, like, am I being resistant for a reason, or if I'm being resistant because they're closed-minded or I'm being closed-minded, like, just pick
Yeah.
one. And, so anyway, yeah, like that all this stuff that I've got coming out of me now is what the speaking brand is. And I can tell you the quick backstory on that too, because again, during the pandemic, when we were all locked in, um, there's a lot of things that shifted. We could not connect with each other in person like we normally could. And we found ourselves online a lot more. And then, we got our satisfaction and connection with that, right? And then also there was this app called Clubhouse at the time. It's not used as much right now, but I met so many wedding pros I never would have met in my life on Clubhouse. And the thing about Clubhouse is it's audio only, and so we spent hours listening to each other, talking to each other, getting to know each other, and I just think that was one of the most powerful things in my life at that time that shifted me into this, "Oh, yeah, I have a voice." So, Pink Hair Jen is my speaking brand, and my wonderful friend Bobby Brinkman, I actually just spoke with her today. She coined the term Pink Hair Jen, not just because I have pink hair, but because the group that we were hosting rooms with, there was multiple Jennifers. So I was obviously, if you're audio only, you can't see who you're talking to. So when we would introduce ourselves, I'd be like, "Hey, it's Pink Hair Jen speaking. I'd like to da 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 add value to this da 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 da." And then we'd have another Jen V, and then we'd have another Jen. There's like another, yeah, she goes by Jen. with one N. We're all just like, there's Jen with two N's and Jen with one N. So the reason why I just went ahead and came up with Pink Hair Jen is because, well, it's to the point. It's my hair, it's my name. And ever since I've been on Clubhouse, that's how I was addressed in the Clubhouse rooms audibly is, hey, welcome Pink Hair Jen to the stage. And I was like, yay. But didn't have the guts to do that kind of stuff until Clubhouse, because think about it. Going on a stage, and I'm putting my air quotes up here in case nobody's watching and they're just listening, a stage, and you're given a platform to speak in front of a group of people and share exactly who you are. And it's the scariest thing in the world to me, honestly, to share exactly who you are, not a version of yourself. Share exactly who you are, what your thoughts are, and adding your life value and experience to a conversation. It was mind-blowingly life-changing. And so, yeah, it was about the same time 5 years ago when I started speaking in Clubhouse, and then Clubhouse turned into real life scenarios. And then now I'm in my real life scenarios, and I'm very excited to go into all these communities and just share creativity. And really, in all of this, creativity is the lifeblood of everything that I do anyway. Whether it's having a conversation, whether it's talking about marketing and branding, whether it's talking about your artwork and the things that you want to do in your life, design wise. I had a conversation just yesterday about somebody who was trying to figure out how to show up online. And I said, there's people that they don't know how to show up online because they're told one thing and they do it and they're not getting the results they want. And I was like, well, what's the results you're wanting? I said, what you need to do is show up as who you are, and people connect with you, not what you're trying to sell them.
Mm.
So, the more that you can know about yourself, and like what the simplest things. I told her yesterday, I said, just talk about your shoes. Your shoes are fabulous. And she showed up to this photo shoot. We all did a photo shoot yesterday. Fun fact. She showed up in these adorable heels with like a flower pattern on them, like wallpaper, like think pretty wallpaper, but on shoes. And I
Oh,
said,
wow.
why can't you just talk about your shoes? People who are working weddings or planning weddings or want inspiration, they need to know about shoes.
Yeah.
Whether you're getting married or working a wedding, you need to have shoes, good shoes or pretty shoes. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
these little tiny simple things that we forget that we can access within ourselves. This is what I bring to the world. I bring that piece of myself to the world, just helping others find more about themselves, and whatever that looks like. It could be a conversation like right now. It could be a conversation on a stage. It could be a conversation in the hallway one-on-one. I have done many of them. It's so much fun to talk with people. And then when you're open, it just so happens if two people are open and reciprocating, you both have aha moments and you're peer to peer. It's not about I'm on a stage and you're below me. It is we are peer to peer. I'm human to human. I'm connecting with this
Mm-hmm.
other human and this other creative. Like you're a big creative too. So it's like we could have a whole conversation probably just on fun designs and fun ways to look at the world, right? So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I've noticed I've worked at the speaking, and it's very very fun to just challenge myself every once in a while. Like I last year did my first spoken word. I don't do poetry, I don't write, but all of a sudden this year, you want to talk about adding another thing to your plate? I'm writing a memoir. And it's
Wow.
photography related, and it's gonna be interactive photography related. So even non-photographers will enjoy this, in my
Yeah,
opinion,
that's
because
amazing.
they'll be reading a piece of my story, but they'll also see a piece of my heart in the work that I've done so far. And so I'm working on that right now. I'm like about 30 pages in, so I'm excited. Yes.
I
Yes.
love it. I love all the projects, all the inspiration, and just going for it. And
Just
one
going
thing
for
that's
it.
yeah, and that's the thing is I have to go back on when you mentioned about the elevator pitch first. I've got a
Yes. Oh
few
my god.
notes. Um, I always felt like that. I would go to like networking events or you read stuff online and it you try and learn and you think, all right, especially when I first started my business and,
Yeah.
working for myself and would go to event and stuff and I'd get so stressed and anxious about thinking going to the event and someone asked me what my business is to make sure that I covered everything or sounded
Yeah.
good and had approval when it never really mattered about that. And when I removed the pressure of having anything cookie cut and fixed, whether it came to the way that I run my business, market my business, or get
Mhm.
clients, everything just shifted. And they saw like it's me for me. And I'm a big thing on relationships. When I have ever had a Zoom call or coffee catch up with the client, like I've never had a meeting or an interaction where they haven't worked with me after. I'm proud of that. And not to, say big no, but that's kind of how it's been. It's because I've showed them who I am and invested the time in the person and understanding what they need. And I think that's what's really important when it comes with all areas of our lives. And you mentioned it about the branding
Yeah.
is showing up as who we are.
Yep, and I
And
can do that in
that's
any
enough.
world. Yeah, in any world. I
Mm.
can show up in a photography world, for weddings and say, the people that find me, we resonate with each other because we're speaking each other's language, and I'm being
Mm.
exactly who I am, and I know what they need because they need to not stress out about their photography for their wedding day. And
Yes.
I was like, I know the stressors of a wedding day, even if it's a small wedding. I know the stressors. And
The pressure.
the last thing they wanna think about is, "How do I look? What's my angles? What's this? I need to look good. I need to do this." They're most of the time, they're so comfortable. They're like, "You know what? Do your thing. I have these requests, but do your thing. I trust you with what you've done." And that's the most wonderful thing that you can have is clients that trust you because you are you. And same with the speaking world. When I pitch myself and I'm putting myself out there, always want to make sure I connect with what I'm pitching, like whatever event it might be, even podcasts or online things. I always want to think about: is this something I can add to? Is this something that I can bring my unique identity to? Right? And most of the times it's yes, I can. I don't care if there's 50 photographers there. Like I'm me. Like
Yes.
and there's a lot of people in the creative industries, and so the more us that we are, the more we attract the people that see us for who we are. I think it's great.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. And
Yeah.
there's enough out there for everybody. And that's what I think. We don't need to compare. We don't need to compete. We don't need to put that pressure when life it's already enough pressure and everything going on with things that we can't control. Well, the things that we
Yeah.
can control is that we get the option to show up as who we are. Let's have a chat about weirdo weddings.
Yeah.
I love that. I love it. I love the inclusiveness of it.
Yes.
And what's one of the weirdest requests? The name is Weirdo Weddings,
Yeah.
but it's not weird. I guess it wouldn't be a weird request. It's a unique request. But how did that all come about? And to everyone else, they want their own style, and I love that that's embraced with what you do.
Yeah, and I this is probably one of the top questions I get, and comments, actually a lot of comments online sometimes about, well, that doesn't look weird. That's not weird enough. And I was like, it's not about, and I try to explain,
Yeah,
well, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, so I started Weirdo Weddings because I've always been friends with weirdos, and we call ourselves weirdos in the fine art industry, in the photography world.
yeah,
My friend started a convention with nothing but weirdos, and we called ourselves that. And I was like, well, you know what? Come to think of it, nobody's doing that in the wedding industry. And why can't that be me? And so I took that fine art weirdo side of myself and just moved it into a new community called Weirdo Weddings. And the thing about it was, and maybe you've experienced this, maybe some of y'all listening have experienced this, but like as soon as you say something out loud and all of a sudden you get this rush of butterflies in your stomach or something, and you realize, oh, that's a good thing. Yes, that is something that is literally like a confirming inside your whole body that this is mine and I've called it out, right? And when I said it out loud, I bought the domain name in 30 minutes because I was like, this is my baby. I don't know what this means for my future. I have this scary. And you know how people over the years will tell you, if you're not dreaming big enough, if you're not scared. Up until that point, I was not scared. Not at all. 'cause I didn't know the more I became me, the more refined the visions came, the bigger it got, if that makes sense. When I talk to people about
Yes.
niching down, and so for me, niching down like that actually expanded me. So, even though I've niched down within a niche, I call it a hyper niche. Um,
Yes. Love that.
I'm very much science fiction driven anyway. I'd love to have like a mothership website where everything's mothershipy, you know? Um, so when Weirdo Weddings became out of my mouth and the first year I didn't add the photography and I was like, I should probably add the photography. Everybody thought I was a wedding planner and I was like, no, not a wedding planner. But back to the question, so the weirdo aspect, that's the top asked thing is, well, they make a comment about the people I post on socials and they're like, well, this isn't weird. And I said, it's not about how weird their wedding is. It is about these weirdos that come together, whether they're an internal weirdo, then they call themselves that, which was me, to an external weirdo who professes everything head to toe, and you know they're different. A lot of the really cool weirdos you'll never know they're a weirdo.
I
So
feel
it's
like
like
that's
there's
me.
yeah. Yeah.
Undercover weirdo.
Undercover and and that's why when people ask me what's the craziest weirdest wedding, the only thing I can tell you is I've had some crazy experiences, but it wasn't so much thematic as it was like at that time a 10-hour wedding in Massachusetts over a couple of days with 2 outfit changes and a large wedding party, mixed gender, that's a pretty wild day for me. And then you have like the little courthouse weddings where I'm perfectly happy. Those are my little weird pockets of time too. So, one of the funnest, since we got Halloween coming up, I'll get one of my funnest Halloween ones was a couple that wanted to do a clear zombie vampire set. They
Wow.
had bridesmaids and groomsmen. It wasn't mixed gender on this one. So all of the dudes were zombies and all of the women were vampires who had been bitten in the neck. And so, yeah, it was great. And they all had like little teeth put in. It was fabulous in a way that, I mean, come on, for a lot of photographers, that's probably a dream wedding. And I definitely agree with them. And then here this year, I had what I would call a wonderfully weird wedding up in Salem, Massachusetts, actually. And it was Star Trek meets Hocus Pocus because they got married at the Hocus Pocus house, which, if you've seen the
Oh,
movie,
Salem.
you know
Yes.
exactly who the Sanderson sisters are. There's a little Hocus
Yes.
Pocus house in Salem. And so they got married at that house. And then they also were dressed in well, one of them was dressed in a full Starfleet dress uniform. The other one was in a beautiful gown. So, that was a lovely, lovely time and very small, maybe, you know, less than 10 attendees, myself and the officiant. It was just wonderful. And so when I say weirdo weddings, it could look any way that my clients want to express themselves. That means it's gonna look different every time. Obviously, that's part of my personality. I love seeing different things all the time. And because in wedding photography, you're kind of doing the same thing every time. It's just the couple changes and your details change, but the format of the day stays the same. Somebody's gonna meet in a location, they're gonna walk an aisle or not. They're gonna say something in publicly in front of a whole bunch of people or not, and then they're gonna sometimes kiss or not. And then they're proclaiming their love publicly, and then you either have a party or not. So every single wedding kind of has that little recipe to it. But what I bring to that space is I let people be exactly who they are. And whatever that looks like, I encourage them with their ideas. And they're so creative. Recently, I heard from this week, um, one lady she's more of a Ren Fair person, and she's out of my state, but she's going to bring me in for her wedding. And she says, I want everybody to be a pirate. No excuses. You have to show up as a pirate at my wedding. And I just smiled and I said, done.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful thing. I'm only 5 years old into that, but I've been a photographer for 18. So
Yes.
5 years into weirdo weddings, it's one of the best things I've ever done so far in my career. Yeah.
I love it. I love how
Yeah.
all your ideas and the names, so your podcast and your wedding and your speaking brand and it all every name has a backstory and there's so much passion behind it and
Yep.
I can feel it even just through our conversation.
5 years ago, y'all, like, that's what's blowing my mind is it's only been 5 years that I've done all 3. Like, all 3 of them are that
Yes.
new. They're all new. Yeah. And it feels like forever though. Like, it's like, how you walk into something and you're like, "Oh, this is familiar. This is great. I've been living this my whole life. I just put a name to it." So that's kinda what I did is I walked into something that was already there waiting for me, and a lot of people probably won't understand that. But
Mm.
so when I talk to people talking going back to the speaking, when I talk to people about their ideas, I tell them, "Write down even the stupidest ideas. And think about it. Maybe explore it a little bit. Maybe have like a little adventure, Because I never would have thought of this stuff. Like, but when you think about it and your brain's already running, you might as well write it down and explore it.
If you think it, you can create it.
Yeah. And
That's
especially if you really like I said, when I said it out loud and I was like, oh yeah, yeah, that's it. That's the thing. If you've been sitting on it, it's probably you're probably frustrated, you're like, "Oh my god, I just can't do anything with my life. I don't know what to do with my life." It's probably that silly little idea that you had 10 years ago that you didn't do,
mm.
and that's just me.
So
Yeah.
this is your sign to do it.
Yep, there's your sign.
Yeah. We all need a sign. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes we just need permission. I mean, that's what the speaking thing and getting on Clubhouse, I don't know what it was, somebody gave me permission, and it felt like all of a sudden I could just do something I couldn't have done before. And so if somebody's listening and you're hearing us talk and you need that permission, you have our permission.
Yes. We can just inspire you to just start because that's what we both did. We took that step and now we get to look back and see the progress. And like you said, it feels like it's been a lifetime,
Yeah.
but it's only, years and then we've still got the future to come. What would you say to someone listening that doesn't know where to start? Like, I guess obviously we've talked about, you've got the idea, write it out, journal it out. What's some kind of like inspiration of someone that's kind of just feeling stuck?
Yeah, that would be step number 1 is, first of all, identify that feeling right there. What does that feel like? What does that look like? And why do you think it's there? Like, ask yourself questions and then start to get that out of your system. Just start to uncover what's really going on because let's just face it, it's all one word, fear. And if you're afraid of something and you're in denial about it, you're never going to uncover what's been hiding there all along. That was me. I was afraid of everything and everyone. I figured, what's the point? Get down and dirty and write. Because for me, it happened during the pandemic where I had no choice but to sit down and think and write and dream. Most of
Mm.
us have forgotten that space. And so if you're stuck right now, go back to that space and strip yourself of all the technology, all the things yelling at you. Delete all those emails that there's 1,000 emails telling you what to do. Sit down with yourself and write some stuff out. If you have to freeform write, if you have to, if anybody's on here that's ever done the artist way, it's a whole journaling kind of thing where she tells you every single day to just dump it on a page. You can throw it away or you can look at it later. You decide what to do with it. But if you
Mhm.
can get it out of you, you can start to see some things that make sense. Maybe there's something you've been hiding from. Maybe there's something you're afraid of. Then write it down. Write down what you're afraid
Yes.
of. And even then, once you write it down, you're like, oh, it doesn't look so bad, right? Doesn't look so bad. I'm not so scared anymore. Then you start to let yourself dream a little bit. And then you think about, oh, I remember that time that I had that idea and I didn't do it because dot, dot, dot. Write it down. Or if so and so told me I couldn't do that because it's not a legitimate career, or so and so said I shouldn't do that. You know what? This is the time to hear your voice and not the
Yes.
1,000 other voices that are yelling at you, because they're all going to tell you something and they're all going to have a different motive. But if you sit down intentionally with something in front of you, you can even, I'm sorry, you can type it on a computer. I didn't say don't take away all the technology if you're more of a tech person and type it out. But I love my keyboard. Um, but write it down pen to paper. Sketch it. Even if you suck at drawing, just like write something out. I have had many ideas come out of like a sketchbook or the notes that we're taking, even today's conversation. If there's something that sparks your mind and your heart, you're going to have to dig it back up if you buried it. And that's the whole point of the work, is you're going to have to do the work to get to it. There is no
Mm,
solution. And I'm going to say this for the people in the back. There is no shortcut.
yes.
Everybody's going to tell you there's a shortcut because now we have all these fancy tools. There is no shortcut to getting to exactly who you are, to exactly what you're meant to do, and to what you bring to the world. There isn't a shortcut. You have to do the work. So, and that work for you could be 10 minutes. And you're like, oh my God, why didn't I do this sooner? It could be 10 days. It doesn't matter. Your pace is your pace. Your path is your path. So it's up to you to uncover the things that are inside of you. Nobody else can do it for you. And it is great to grab a friend. So maybe you've done all the work, right? You've thrown stuff on a paper, you have some ideas. Now you need to get in your community. And it has to be a trusted community that can breathe life into you, not squelch your ideas. And that's what happened with me. I was in a community with people that genuinely cared about where I was going with my life and my business. They helped me hash things out. They helped me brainstorm, but I still had to do the work and be ready for it when that big idea came. Right? How's that for starters?
Perfect. Perfect.
It's
And
no big
it
deal. No big deal. Just
and
exceptional work to do.
but that's the thing, is like it's not easy, but you will see the progress, and it gets so much better on the other side, and that comes with everything. And it could take longer than like 10 days. It depends really what you're uncovering, and this is more going back on when there's a lot of trauma involved too. It depends how deep your wounds are,
Yep.
or how much you've had to really hide who you are as a person
Yep.
to fit into this world. It's going to look different for everyone. And
Yeah.
the best thing about it is you get the option and every single day to start and to become better. But I'm big on like journaling and writing it out.
Yeah.
I think we can type. It's good too. But when you're writing it, you're not only just pressing keys, you're actually writing the letter, you're writing the word. It's so much more like embedded into your brain when you're really uncovering it that way. For me, that's how it works better for me. People can type and that, but I think this also probably goes back to like uni days where
Yeah.
they told us to write our notes and then type them, not just type, because it's
Yep.
like apparently it's backed by research that you remember things better if you write it down. So
Yeah.
that's a good place to start.
Yeah, and then
What's
by the time you get to your community, if you're like me, if anybody's like a verbal processor and you solve your own problems by talking, then do it that way too.
Yes. Yeah, well, no, that's the thing too. Like you can even do voice notes. I send myself
Mhm.
voice notes sometimes to reminder if I've got a brain dump and something that I want to remember. Or usually it's related to like sharing or business or a key kind of breakthrough
Yeah.
that I've had. And I want to go back to it later to share it or just to remember. And that's fun too, is like voice noting, like you said, if you're that, or just talk out. There's always someone to listen.
Yep.
And that's something that's important, is you might not think that people will understand you, but there's always someone out there, and they don't necessarily have to be someone that you know directly. Like you said, it's all about community, finding a community
Community,
and people.
mentors. I've had
Mm,
coaches, mentors, people that have been in business longer than me, people that have different businesses than me, people that are in my same industry or different industry. I learn by absorbing and watching other people, without comparison. I just kind of take mental notes. I mean, I've done this for years, just
yes.
observing and taking in information. And I was like, oh, So they're kind of this is how they're doing it. Like if you sent me to a class for something, I might not get as much out of it because taken in so much from everybody else that I feel like I've done a whole study just on the world or in this little tiny piece of the world, because like the world is huge. But like
Mm.
if I've observed a group of people and the way they look at the world and the way they communicate, and I'm just like, wow, and I don't know how to write a book, but I know how to write stuff down and I know what I want. I know what I have in my head. So if I can get it on paper, I can put the photos with it and then it just makes sense, and you just, before you know it, you've got a book, right?
And that's it. The little steps. So it's all about the little steps.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
now, what's next for you? So you're writing your memoir.
Oh, yeah. Yes. That is, gosh, that's a great question too, because I have to sit here and think about the future. No, I am working on the memoir and I'm one of those people that it's nice to have deadlines, but also because I'm still researching on how to best get this out. I just needed a spot to start. So I've started it and now I come back to it whenever I need to. And
Yeah.
I have actually started what I would call just a newsletter that people can get on so I can start like pre-releasing things and say, here's the teaser for my book. And I'm sure there's going to be many more, but I was like, if I can just start with one and then see where it leads from there, because I can already see how I could go several different ways just based on photography alone. That's not even talking about everything else in my life yet. Like, if I was to write a life story book, oh my God, like, wow. So I'm working on that. And I think it's a beautiful thing to work on. And then I also have a convention coming up that I'm working on, my spoken word that I'm gonna do, and I'll keep it a secret on here. I'll tell y'all another time, but
Yes.
it's gonna be a presentation. It's a poem, but it's a very specific poem, and it resonates with something that's been kind of growing inside of me, and I want to share it with the world. And it'll be
Mm-hmm.
specifically at these conventions that I go to. I'll be implementing what I would almost call. Um, it's not necessarily performance art, but it's kinda like in that vein of, "I'm inspired, I'm going to infect you with my inspiration," kind of a thing. And I do this a lot when I go to big conventions, especially when I wanna share joy with people. I'll have something and an idea, and I'll take that with me, and then I'll just spread it however I can. And it's fun, it's fabulous. People always walk away and give me such interesting compliments about it. So I'm looking forward to that because I'm going to do that and then in a couple weeks, and then I'm going to do it again in November when I have a convention that I'm working on there. But really, I have for the future of this year, I have got a wonderful wedding season coming up full of amazing people. I cannot wait to work with them. And then, yeah, that creatively and business wise, I'm just going to keep going down this path and see where it leads me to the end of 25. And then already 26 is starting to kind of like formulate itself. And I was telling my friend today, I don't know about anybody else in business right now, but a lot of people have been, a little nervous about 2025 and I haven't. So, but in 2026, a lot of things schedule wise are changing. There's these big things I'm a part of that are moving to different months, and it kind of shifts my seasons around. How I told you I work seasonally, and these
Mm-hmm.
events would always happen at the same time and the same place every year. And guess what? Next year, same. No, what? Nothing is same. Okay. It's going to move to a different part of a building, of a convention center, and it's a different time of year. So everything is different. And then, which leaves this interesting space in the beginning of the year of like, what am I going to do with myself? And then I find myself trying to plan, but I was like, I can't plan for the unknown. So I have to just be okay with it being unknown. Like, we
Yes.
already know next year's going to be different.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. And I thought this way about 24 and going into 25. I just knew it was going to be different. And I was correct in the best way possible. And then I see 26 being the same for me. And this is where I am. This is, 2025 right now. We're September here when we're recording this, and who knows what's going to happen in the next 6 months. I don't know. but I'm here for the ride.
Embrace the unknown, I always say.
Yeah,
Embrace the unknown, follow the path.
that was one of my word phrases of the year a couple years ago, and I did not like it. I gotta be honest. And
No?
I didn't
Prefer
like
to
it.
prefer to know?
I prefer to know. And I think coming to terms with that about yourself is like if you're in a place of needing to know stuff, just own that. And at that time that I used that exact phrase, all I could think of was, and I'm a movie person, so forgive me, but Indiana Jones and the leap from the lion's head is all I could think of when it said embrace the unknown. Because in that movie and in that time, and he was going through these different booby traps and things trying to save his father. By the time he got to the leap from the lion's head, he could not see a path, and he had to literally leap into the unknown to realize the path was already there. And I was like, well, isn't that like my life story?
Oh, I love
So, you
that.
know what I mean? And then in order for him to he literally had to leap. The path was already there, and he discovered the path as soon as he leaped. And then as he crossed the path, he spread pebbles on the way back so people behind him could see that there was a path there.
Wow.
So, yeah, I love things like that because pathways, that's another part of my speaking thing. Pathways look different to everybody, and
Mm,
we all walk different things. And by that I mean sometimes you're on a paved road in a city, and sometimes you're on the beach in the sand with the waves crashing at your feet. Sometimes you're walking up and down a mountain to get to where you're going. And, so I was just saying that this week. I said, I feel like I'm walking downhill slowly with this piece of my life right now. And it's okay because I get to go at the pace I'm supposed to go. And I'm going downhill. Downhill does not mean it's a bad thing. Have you ever hiked up and down to a beach before? Some of these beaches
yes.
are only accessible by going downhill, are they not?
Yeah, over the mountain, hidden
Correct.
gems.
And you have to sometimes you go up the mountain and then back down the mountain because you're like, where the heck is the ocean? I don't know where it is. And I'm only saying this because I hiked Oregon recently and literally living and breathing this. I'm like, okay, so now we're going up this mountain and now why are we on this road? This makes no sense. We just drove up this way. And you keep going and you go down, but you go down in a really long, obnoxious way. And then you're like, where's the ocean? I don't even see it anymore. And then all of a sudden you keep going, and then you hear the ocean again, and then you begin to see the ocean and then realize, oh God, I still have like a long ways to go, but at least I can see it. And then
Mm,
here's the fun thing that happened. As soon as we got to the bottom of the beach, our legs are tired. They're shaking literally. Like we were laughing at each other because of how wobbly our legs were. I turn around. There's 4 people that pop out of the forest. And I was like, where were you guys? I didn't say that to them, but in my head, I was like, where were they? Because I thought we were going super slow on the path. And come to find out, we had 4 or 5 people following us. And I was like, we never even saw them. Isn't it just like life where there's people on the path potentially with you and you don't even realize it?
no,
Maybe they're
that's
right
it.
behind you and maybe they're right ahead of you, but maybe they're also on the path with you. So the point of me telling you that is that we're not alone. It's going to feel like we're alone, and we're definitely not going to see people every once in a while. But at the end of the day, you aren't alone in your journey. You may be solo for a while, but I guarantee you there's somebody else on the path with you. Somebody somewhere will appear. We had this other guy appear in a bright yellow shirt. No joke. We were trying to find our way back. This exact same path I just told you. We were trying to find our way back, and it kind of veered off down to this dead end. And all of a sudden, there's this guy in this yellow shirt. And we're like, why didn't we see him? He's wearing a bright yellow shirt. And we turned around. We're like, oh, yeah, we went down the wrong way. We go right back up to the path, and we keep going up. And then we turn around. I swear the guy's gone. I was like, where did he go? He has a bright yellow shirt. We were not gone that long, maybe 10, 20 seconds, and he's gone. I was like, what? So
Yeah,
anytime you could meet some random guy with a yellow shirt in the forest, say hello, and then all of a sudden he's gone.
I
Isn't
love
that
that.
like life?
It's perfect. I think we've just really wrapped up our conversation perfectly to realize that we're all on our own path and people will come and go, and it just depends. We get the choice. What's one thing that you would say to someone on the beginning of their kind of journey to uncover who they really are?
One thing I could share with everybody about your journey is it's worth every second of exploring it. Think of yourself as an explorer. You don't have to have the answers. You don't even need to look for the answers. You just need to get up and start walking. And sometimes people will tell you if you're not moving forward, you're moving backward. And I would like to challenge that one right now because that is not a complete truth, in my opinion.
Mm.
If you have ever tried to stand still, it takes energy to do that. For those of us who love moving all the time, it takes energy to stand still. And if you're the kind of person who is, if you've had a debilitating injury or surgery where you had to regain use of your legs, which I did. I had a child, I had a C-section. I had to relearn how to use my body, and you have to get up differently when you've had abdominal surgery, right? So when I say standing was a challenge, it was a challenge. So to those of y'all that are just needing to stand and take it in, do that. And then keep walking forward.
Oh, that was perfect. Well, I've loved our chat today. Very inspiring. And I'm excited to see the next part of your journey. I will be linking all your details in the show notes, so everyone can get in touch with you, reach out, and your YouTube channel. I want to see that. I want to see more of
Yes.
that. So
I have so many fun things on there that are just there. They feel like they're a lifetime ago, and that's okay. Like it's great. It's part of the growth process.
yeah, it's good to have that and to look back. Well, thanks
Always.
so much, Jen, for your time today. I really,
Thank
really
you for having
appreciate
me.
it.
Thank you for having me. It was such a great time to be with you, and then of course be across the world.
I know how great is that? Like we've get to share these conversations, we get to share what we love, and help others. See the beauty in everything that we can do. Thanks again, Jen, for your time, and to everybody else. Remember, it's progress, not perfection, and I will see you next week.